Welcome back, you all. We are going to CHD 204, and this week we are talking about Chapter 4, Creating a Community of Learners. So, exactly what is a community of learners, and why is it important to understand when creating curriculum? Chapter 4 is going to uncover the value and benefits of adopting a classroom community mentality to strengthen learning and connections. So let's see how we do that. First, Yuri Bronfenbrunner, what a weird name, right? Devised the ecological systems theory. And this theory supports curriculum that builds communities of caring and strong social relationships. Bronfenbrenner's theory explains how a child's growth and development in all areas is affected by everything in their environment. The ecological systems theory is represented by circles, beginning with the child as the core. Nested systems of influence impact development and affect every facet of a child's life. So, when writing curriculum, it is important for teachers to understand these influences in order to best support each child's development. The center of focus in the ecological systems theory is the child. The next level is called the microsystem, and this includes the groups a child interacts with on a regular basis, such as their family, their school folks, their sports teams, religious organizations, and how these groups interact with the child and how the child responds has an effect on the child's growth and development. This particular microsystem level is the level where the early childhood classroom has the most influence. The third circle is called a mesosystem, and it illustrates how the many parts of a child's microsystem work together to support the child. The fourth circle is called the exosystem, and this includes other people, places, and events with which the child may not have direct connections, but which nonetheless impact the child's development. An example of this might be if a parent is laid off of their job and cannot afford to pay for a quality preschool program, the child may be negatively impacted. And the final circle is called the macro system, and it includes people and events that are not connected to the child but have the potential to have a great influence on the child's development, like a pandemic, war, any kind of cultural values. And those things that happen in the macro system can either be positive or negative. So let's talk about creating a community. Not only is building a community a part of the developmentally appropriate practice principles, but it is also part of NAEYC's professional standards and competencies for early childhood educators. This standard is devoted to the importance of creating strong family partnerships and community connections, further supporting the importance of creating a community. Teachers create and foster a community of learners when they employ developmentally appropriate practices. When developing curriculum, teachers must understand the benefits of creating caring communities to support the social emotional development of a child. In your textbook in this particular section, you will see a teaching pyramid model that identifies 4 levels that build upon each other. The base of the pyramid represents the foundational policies and procedures that are based on solid evidence from the field. Level 1 is nurturing and responsive relationships. And research shows that the stronger the child's relationship is with their teacher, the harder the child will work to meet expectations. Level 2, which is called high quality supportive environments, focuses on creating an environment that supports positive outcomes. This may include your curriculum, transitions, routines, schedules, any kind of teaching practices that are part of your environment. Level 3 is called targeted social emotional supports, and this points to teaching practices that promote the formation of positive social relationships. These must always be modeled by caring adults. Skills such as conflict resolution and negotiation are embedded into the curriculum and are lifelong competencies. And the final part of the teaching pyramid is level 4, and it's intensive intervention, which provides intervention for children who need additional support. Now, a young child who breaks rules and pushes boundaries, we're never going to label them as a bad child, okay, or a bad kid. In a nurturing, responsive learning environment, teachers approach the issue as a collaborative effort to ensure that classroom expectations are appropriate and clearly communicated, okay? So if we want children, and we want them, we want children to follow our expectations, have, rules that are going on in our classrooms. We've got to make sure that we clearly support and those expectations, and that they are appropriate and clearly communicated. They also examine the environment for potential antecedents, which are things that cause problems, okay? And then natural consequences that we might use to address that challenging behavior. So one common antecedent, one thing that might cause problems in your classroom, is telling a young child who's engaged in an activity to stop without giving them any kind of prior warning. And this is often going to result in a tantrum. Like they're just going to get upset. They're going to lay down, kick, scream, fuss, throw things possibly. So providing a transition eliminates that problem or that antecedent. You might be able to say something like, in 5 minutes, we're going to clean up and get ready for lunch. This is an example of a transition that is an appropriate transition. We're giving the child a warning. A natural consequence for having a tantrum, not cleaning up when you tell them to after you've given them that prior warning, might be that we're going to delay lunch until the area is cleaned up. So when we focus on being proactive rather than reactive, and we could reach out to our colleagues, the child's family, community experts, if we see that this is a continual problem. But anytime we can focus on being proactive instead of reactive, then we're going to get better behavior from our children. So let's talk about engaging with children. When children see themselves represented in the classroom, their understanding of being part of a group, their sense of belonging, and their belief that they are important is strengthened. The teacher is the conduit. That means you are at the center, okay? You're what makes it all go. So the teacher is the conduit to building a community and engaging the children in conversation and creating learning opportunities that build shared experiences. Classroom practices that provide strong communities of learning have the following characteristics in common, okay? We talk to the children about what community means, what's a good friend do, what's a neighbor do. We need to know each child's characteristics. We create opportunities for children to work together and collaborate, whether that be through play, through guided activities that the teacher is doing. Shared classroom responsibilities. We allow the children to have responsibilities in the classroom so that they feel a part. We help them in the shared decision making. So letting children help make the classroom rules, letting them help you come up with what is proper in the classroom and what isn't. And then, of course, again, the development of classroom rules. Intentional teaching strategies ensure that all children and their families feel safe and wanted in a caring community of learners. An example might be for you also to greet each child and each family when they arrive, and also share positive feedback with the families at the end of the day. When children are part of a nurturing learning community. They feel safe as they make, keep, and test relationships. Early childhood teachers should always work to foster positive relationships among the children. Supporting small group learning experiences provides an opportunity for all children to develop conversational and critical thinking skills while building on one another's ideas and sharing their own. So, critical thinking questions, or what we might call open ended questions, often do not have yes or no answers. And they're going to encourage the child to be more responsive, their responses, to be more thought provoking. Okay. Open ended questions also build language and thinking skills that would not otherwise be tapped if we just ask them simple yes and no questions. So we want to make sure that we provide daily opportunities for children to extend and engage in these open ended critical thinking questions. When you use open ended questions, children are presented with more opportunities to express their feelings and use those higher order thinking skills. So instead of saying like, what color is that crayon? There's no thought provoking in there at all. Okay. You might want to say, tell me about the crayons you are using. And this allows children to use their language to describe the crayons or what they are doing. NAEYC also considers family and community engagement as a necessary component of high quality early childhood programs for children. To provide the best experiences for children, we have to engage with the whole family, and it has to be very intentional from the beginning because this is going to help us build those strong learning communities. One way that we can do this and one way we want to draw those families in is that research tells us that when children whose parents participate in their school or in their early childhood program, they make significant greater progress in their learning than children whose parents do not participate. And it also, we see that these children exhibit higher self-esteem in comparison to children whose parents don't participate. One way that we can draw and attract families is let them know about us. I feel like sometimes they feel more at ease when they know a little bit about you. We can do that by providing a short biography about us and our interests as their teacher. We can create a private social media page where we can upload pictures of the children so that their parents can see them during the week. Ask parents in your newsletter, inquire about their talents or their skills, something that they could come to the classroom and share. Do they want to volunteer? Ask them. And then provide them a time in which it's a good time for them to come into the classroom and volunteer. And then ultimately some type of weekly, monthly newsletter or blog with pictures helps draw the parents into your classroom and helps encourage parental involvement and regular communication, which is truly a hallmark of a high quality early childhood program. Parent and family participation, communication is the key, okay? And it has to be frequent and it has to be a two-way open door policy that welcomes all family members into the classroom. When we have this open door policy, it's going to ensure access to the child by the family or the guardian at any time during regular classroom hours, and is one way to create trust, providing accessibility into the classroom. We might want our open door policy to establish blocks of time that are like 30 or 60 minutes long for visiting our classroom. We want parents to understand that when they're there, they have to reinforce and then reinforce that they follow the rules, okay, that a child, and sometimes children are going to act differently. Most often they will, really, when their family is present in the classroom. And then we want to provide parents with times when their involvement will be especially helpful. Another type of communication that we can use, like we talked about the newsletters, we talked about different ways, but what we know is that communication is the key to quickly overcoming any kind of parental misunderstandings, and it helps ensure that all families are provided opportunities to participate in learning activities. So we must communicate. It's got to be at the forefront of everything that we do. We can use apps, maybe like for mobile devices. Be careful with that one, and if you do choose to use that, make sure that all of your families have access to some type of device so that you can do that. But it seems that newsletters are probably one of the most frequently used, and they provide an opportunity where you can share classroom learning news. In a format, send it home every week. The parents can get it out, put it on the refrigerator, where we can encourage those participation in our classrooms. Now, how do we engage with our colleagues? Our colleagues are people that work with us. So there are other teachers in the building, and also with our community. When we do this and we collaborate, we are connecting with people, businesses, organizations, and institutions that can provide additional resources for us. And they are a valuable part of creating a classroom community and help us develop a network of support. Collaborating with your colleagues provides mutual support for professional development as well as enhancing our curriculum. And it is just nice to talk with colleagues, to know that we're all in the same boat. We're all dealing with the same things. However, sometimes this can be hard to do in a day when you're at school. So I think it's real important, because this is such an integral part of your effectiveness, that we carve out time each week where we're going to consult with other teachers or co-teachers, the assistant, whomever, and brainstorm our ideas related to improving our classroom and instruction. As I always say, two heads are better than one. So when we put our heads together, we can brainstorm and come up with ways that we can enhance our curriculum, solve some problems we're having, some issues. And we also want to make sure that we are constantly learning about our community that we live in and work in. The community is going to serve as an important resource for you for enhancing your curriculum and linking families with a range of services based on whatever their needs might be. So we really need to know what is going on and what's available within our communities. So thanks for joining me for Chapter 4, and I will see you next week.